G'day Aussie Gridiron fans and welcome to the G'day Gridiron Podcast, brought to you by the Aussie Gridiron Network. It's the Week 4 preview show. 6 huge games to preview, so stick around for a lot of stuff. G'day guys, how are we this afternoon or this evening? Back again for Week 4 previews. The NFL season just keeps rolling and rolling on, Brad.
It does. Absolutely it does. And we're starting now to get a good feel, a good vibe for who the teams are and their strengths and weaknesses. And we're starting to see the identities of the teams form. So I'm excited to see what we got going into this weekend. Even though on the surface, it may not look like the greatest games, I think there's some intriguing matchups.
I think there's definitely some intriguing matchups this week. There was at least probably 3 or 4 games that I would want to talk about for our games we want to watch. So I had to try and pick one of them. Isaac, I think you were the same. There was a couple of games here that you could have tossed up between.
Yeah, a fair few. It's really starting getting into the nitty-gritty of the season, and like Brad said, you're finding out who the good teams are and who the really bad teams are as well, and you get to match them up and see who's going to play well against who. So yeah, it's starting to get a good spot.
I think with all the injuries and things as well, you start seeing the narratives form for different teams, like Nick's team, for example, who just can't take a trick.
I got call-ups this week to actually come out, try out at multiple positions. It was good. It was actually good to get another divisional win that, with our club season starting soon. I was moving around a bit like Aaron Glenn was with about a minute and a half left in that game against Tampa. If Brad hasn't seen that, Ian, you've got to get that video. That's a classic. And then, yeah, of course, after the game finishes, the report comes out. Yeah, Bose has done his ACL. So, of course, yeah, what can I say? Roll on. So, how much longer will last?
Next man
up.
Niners,
man.
Sure.
I'm sure at the start of the season, they all thought, like, last season we were all injury bit. Surely we should be better this season. Surely, right? Surely?
Surely.
No.
Surely.
It only took 3 weeks.
It just fits
their
their narrative.
They're not the only ones, though.
It just fits the 49er.
That's
narrative.
why they'll be in the Super Bowl.
Oh,
as I said the other day, though, the majority of times when they've gone 3-0, they've ended up in the Super Bowl. It's just shit. So, it is just shit. This week, though, you know what I'm excited for? I'm excited to stay up on Sunday evening and watch Vikings football because we get the first of sort of mid-season international games kicking off this week. Vikings and Steelers in Ireland, of all places.
Sure.
What a great place to go to. 11:30 kickoff our time. I'm super excited to be able to just stay up late, maybe have a few brewskis, sit on the couch with some, I don't know, something to eat, some cheese and biscuits. I don't know. Let's just see how I go. Keep yourself awake until 1 a.m.
Cheese and biscuits, cup of tea.
Yeah, you keep staying awake, and then the 2:30 games start, and then the next set of games starts. So,
Well, I
Straight into
can't, Isaac, I can't sit up and eat ice cream and beer because I really would be asleep on the fucking couch.
A couple of beers and you're out, eh? It's just like you got to power through to make it through to 11:30.
I've got some tequila mixes in the fridge I haven't tried yet. I might have to hit one of them up. That should keep me awake.
Mix in a few Red Bulls, you'll be all right.
That's daily life, Nick. It's every day. It's basically my bloodstream right now.
Man.
That's all I get. So, yeah, I'm super excited to be able to watch Vikings back-to-back weeks too. I get it next week as well when they're in London. So I don't like getting up at 3 a.m., to be honest.
No,
the rest of you can have that shit.
It's too early. I haven't done it. I didn't do it this last week. So, yeah, it's...
If 3 a.m. meant, if getting up at 3 a.m. meant I was going to get paid like Isaac does, I'd do it 100%. I have done it. I have done it previously in my working life as well. I started in 4 a.m. and finished at 12, and that was grand old life. That was, but
Yeah.
I'm not going to do it just to watch football. I wake up, I look at the scores, I go, oh, that'll be an interesting one to watch, and I watch the rest of the games, and then I come back, cycle back around. So I just watch it all day anyway. But an 11:30 game, I'm super excited about that. Righto. So, what's happened in the NFL world this week? But we're not going to talk about any of it. No, I'm kidding. There's
Nothing's happened.
We've got 4 games, as usual, that games we want to watch, 4 games that each of us have picked one. And we've got 2 Monday Night Football games again. We're going to start off with Monday Night Football this week because, well, number one, the games aren't as exciting as some of the Sunday games are. And that's a problem for me. Monday Night Football is becoming a real problem, even just in the scheduling part, I think, and where they put these games on and how they put these games on. We had 2 Monday Night Football games a couple of weeks ago. They were scheduled perfectly, back to back, rolled one into the other. Great time, great day. This week, though, they are in Australian times 9:15 and then 10:15 kickoffs. So they're an hour apart. So 2 games are going to be getting played at once. And out of those 4 teams, I don't think I really truly want to watch any of them play a game. Because I don't know how the scheduling gods couldn't have known that the Jets and Dolphins would be as boring as batshit in week 4. And granted, they wouldn't have known that Bengals and Broncos would be on weird trips by week 4 either. But right now, that's terrible. Brad, there's got to be a better way to schedule Monday Night Footballs. These particular island games, Thursday not so much, but Monday definitely. It needs to be a spectacle every week, surely.
It does, and it used to be. And NFL's king, and they'll still pull decent ratings. But if you keep throwing crap at us, then eventually we're gonna get sick of eating it. So it's not their fault in the sense of the Bengals and Broncos is not going to be the matchup that you wanted. And I get why they're doing Jets Miami because it's a huge draw on the East Coast. New York, just, you're going to get numbers. But what I don't understand, what I don't like is the 1 hour in between. To me, that's just asinine. So, and again, I know it's because they don't want it to go too late on the East Coast or too early on the West Coast because they've done that before, where games started like at 4:00 on the West Coast time. It just didn't work. But still, if they, I guess 2 things. One, it's okay, in my opinion, to keep them separate, the scheduling wise, because we're not people aren't tied to the TV like they used to be, so second screens is a normal thing. So I don't mind that so much, but I think you need to have more flexibility around the scheduling. And I know people travel plans and all this and that, but come on, man, it's a TV league. It's not an in-person league anymore. And just give me some good games to watch on the TV. This 70,000 people that are inconvenienced by traveling there. Well, hey, sorry, but you're out of luck.
It's weird because when they did it 2 weeks ago, so Brad, obviously you'd know probably the time zones better than we would, but Houston and Vegas, they're in the same time zone, are they not? Is that correct?
Yeah, they are, or there might be an hour because Vegas might be
They're close. They're close.
Central
West Coast,
versus
maybe.
Mountain. Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah. So those were the 2 home teams, obviously Houston and Vegas. But then they put the East Coast team on earlier, which was Tampa, who played away. And then obviously the Chargers were the late game with the Raiders. So this is actually not the last time it's happening either. So they're doing crossover games, like I think in a few weeks, and I think it happens about 3 or 4 more times for the rest of the year, which is kind of strange.
Yeah.
So if they're so worried about the crossover, the length of how long the second game might go to, why would you not then have the 2 teams that are on the East Coast time play earlier? Then at least you've got those 2 teams that are playing. And then at least in that other time zone, so the Central and the
Yep.
Pacific time zone. So like I
Yep.
had with 2 weeks ago, have it set up like that. I just
Yeah.
don't understand, because if you get two good games, like I think for example the next one that's meant to happen in week 6 is Buffalo and Atlanta, and then
Mhm.
an hour apart is Chicago and Washington. Now that's not two massive games, but they're two far better games than what we're getting this week.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's sort of, I feel like if they had done it better, maybe not 1 hour apart, but maybe further apart, like maybe one starts in the third quarter, maybe. I think that'd
Yeah.
be a fair trade-off, because at least then if the first game's shit and the second game you can go forward with.
Yeah.
But an hour apart, it's just stupid for mine.
It's just scheduling, really. That's all it comes down to, Nick. Like, there's 32 teams in the league. I get you can't have someone playing on Monday night, then playing on Thursday night. So you've got two teams out then. So whoever's playing on the next Thursday night can't play on a Monday night. So there's two teams out, and they don't like to have whoever played on the previous Thursday to then play Monday, because they technically have too much time in between games. So there's 4 teams out, but then we're down to 28 other teams that we couldn't schedule, as you were saying, Nick, 2 teams from similar time zones on Monday Night Football, if that's the way you want to go. And my other thing is, I don't understand this day and age scheduling the entirety of the season of Monday Night Football when we know how finicky these Thursday and Monday games are now, in terms of the money, like who's paying to broadcast these things. Obviously, there's a few years ago, Amazon came in and Bezos ended up with, what was it, the Thursday Night Football games. That's what
Yeah,
Amazon doing.
I got every Thursday night.
Every Thursday night was fucking atrocious in the first
It
year
was
that they did.
awful. It was awful.
They were woeful games. And
Yeah.
then you saw the change the next season for them making sure that there were better matchups on Thursday nights, like more ones that were more certain to be better matchups, regardless of how good or bad the teams are going. I don't understand with Mondays. You've got enough time to change teams into like better teams that are doing better, or better games, like better scheduled games, into that Monday Night Football one. I get, Brad, you said the travel plans. I'm with you there. Screw people with your travel plans. That's something you're just going to have to plan for. But I'm not saying like this week you say we're going to change next week's Monday Night Football.
Right.
Saying
Right.
You schedule the first 3 weeks, probably the first 4 weeks. Let's say the first 4 weeks, and then after week 2's played, you say you change whatever week 5. Well,
Yeah.
you change the next one.
Like
So
3
after-
weeks leeway.
So you get 3 weeks to change those or make up those travel plans. You just don't sell the tickets for them then. You know?
Yeah,
just-
because
you just
they're
do it
going to
differently.
sell out.
Regardless.
Yeah. No, I hear what you're saying.
But I think that just
Um,
every week you say this matchup that's in 3 weeks' time is now going to be moved to Monday. That's going to be flexed into Monday Night Football.
Yeah.
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 So
yeah.
you only pick matchups that are on Sunday, so they're only moving by a day. Yeah, and
Yeah,
it makes
right.
way more sense, because then you got your first 4 weeks scheduled, and we just take it as a crapshoot because that's whatever it is. But from that point onwards through the next 16 weeks, because we don't do week 18 Monday night, the next 16 weeks is better matchups. The league is picking a better matchup for Monday Night Football.
Yeah, I'd love to see what the numbers are, the viewing numbers, because I feel like their attitude towards Monday Night Football is such that, well, we know we're going to get viewers irregardless. It doesn't matter who we throw up there. We're going to get decent numbers, and they're just pumping out, mediocre teams, irregardless. So, yeah.
I'll
Anyway,
just
so
play
we-
devil's advocate a bit on the
Yeah, go.
teams thing.
Please.
I'd much rather see this matchup in week 3 than in week 14.
Amen.
If they've
Yes,
done the schedule,
yes.
then
Yes.
the teams are out of
Yeah.
contention, and we're looking at backups every night. So
Yeah, you're right. there.
I'm not
Mhm.
sure of the schedule back in week 14. They may have done this early to get the viewers for the division game with the Jets and the Dolphins.
Yeah.
But then later on in the season, we've got just Kansas City versus Buffalo. I don't know, but do you know what I mean? Like the more
Mhm.
meaningful games.
Yep.
So yeah, maybe that's why they've done it. And I agree on the
I haven't looked
1 hour
massively at
thing.
the Monday ones.
Yeah.
I don't want to burst anyone's bubble, but I'm well aware that we play Carolina later in the year. It's a Monday night game, so
Yes. I
Hey,
was
they
gonna
won
say
2
that.
division winners, Nick. Come on.
And then the week after,
Jeez.
that's week 12, and then week 13
Every-
is Giants versus Patriots.
Oh, no.
Oh, come
Jesus.
on.
Is it going to be players from 2011 playing in that game, or is that not happening?
They're
They're going to have to find it from somewhere.
just going to replay
actually-
a throwback.
Actually,
Actually, Brad,
this-
it's funny you mentioned about the viewership because I saw a thing from this morning that actually said Detroit and Baltimore had 25 million viewers for it. So it was the fourth most for a Monday night game ever.
Wow.
So it's insane what a standalone Monday night does.
Yeah.
Good standalone Monday night.
Yeah, obviously a good one.
A good one. You are right, Nick. There's a couple more of these through the season. There's two more Mondays where we play double headers. And the next one, the games aren't too bad because they're Buffalo, Atlanta, and Chicago, Washington. They won't be too bad. But yeah, they are 10:15 and 11:15. So we move an hour later. And then the week 7 ones are Bucks, Lions, and Texans, Seahawks. And that's 10 a.m. and 1 p.m. games. So they're
That's
That's
back.
how you want it.
I like that. Bucks, Lions,
That's
Texans, Seahawks. That's a good match. That's the thing.
That's 4. That could be 2 very, very good games.
Yeah. That
Is
So-
could
Brad
be.
liking another Seahawks game?
Yeah, it's
Oh,
all Brad.
shut up.
It's all coming up Seahawks for Brad this week.
Oh, God.
But there are some really good matchups coming up on Monday Night Football. I get that, and the scheduling has worked there. But then when you look at that 3-week stretch, Nick, it's actually either side of you as well. Week 11 is Cowboys Raiders. Week 12 is Panthers 49ers, and week 13 is Giants Patriots. Like that 3-week stretch.
Shitty 3 weeks.
People are tuning off for Monday nights in the end of November. There.
Crazy.
Thank God it's working hours here.
Yeah, I probably won't be watching it.
I was gonna say I'll still watch it though. I'm an addict. I will.
Yeah, we're with the degenerates. We'll watch it.
I'll watch it in some way. Anyway, we got 2 Monday Night Football games to preview tonight, so we're going to get to them first.
Yeah.
I thought I'd just change it up regardless, basically. Even though they are poo, I'll just flip it around because the games we want to talk about later probably have a bit more juice to them, and we'll be able to talk a bit more in depth about them. So we'll just chop through Monday Night Football relatively quickly. So the first of those games is Jets at Dolphins. The Dolphins are currently 2.5-point favourites. The current total is set at 44.5. Both of those things I find a little surprising. The Dolphins went down 31-21 to the Bills last week on Thursday Night Football. Actually, there you go. That really blows my theory out of the water, Thursday to Monday. But they looked like one of the worst teams in football during that game. Even though they did score 21 points. Very big week for them, I would say, just setting you guys up a little bit. But I think Mike McDaniel needs to still show that he can coach a football team and actually have some kind of success over the Jets, who had a very narrow loss, 29-27 to the Buccaneers this week. 21 of those points came in the fourth quarter where the Bucs basically went to sleep and the Jets did a whole bunch of work on defense and offense to score some points and get them back in that game. But for the first 3 quarters, they looked absolutely woeful. Brad, how are you sort of seeing this one just wash out?
Yeah, I guess the biggest question I have is who needs a win more? You got 2 0-3 teams, and which one is more desperate for that win? I feel like the Jets are going to survive and they'll do okay, but I feel like Miami, if they don't get a win here, Mike McDaniel, it goes from a hot seat to a fry pan. Essentially. So not that I think he should get fired, but it's going to get really ugly if they don't turn this thing around. If they showed heart last game, they played well, or they played hard at least. But I got to think that something's going to happen here soon if the Dolphins don't make a turnaround.
Yeah,
I'm taking the Sorry, you go, Isaac.
Only thing I've got on this game, this has a sneaky potential to be a shootout. Both offenses, once they
Okay.
click, can get going, and the
Yep.
defenses can't stop anything. So there's potential for it to be an offensive explosion, but yeah, it could be, or it could be a really, really bad game to watch.
Yeah, I think, sorry, Nick, I don't want to cut you off here, but I just think
No,
that the Dolphins got to run the ball. Last time, this is the first time they got over 100 yards as a team. They got to continue to stay balanced. If they get too one-dimensional, it's not good for Tua. Teams will just start teeing off on them.
Yep.
I look at this game in the opposite sort of fashion that you are, Brad, in the sense that I think we can all pretty much concede that at some point this year, Mike McDaniel's probably going to get sacked. It is unfortunate, but they're just not clicking at all. They were better last week compared to the first couple weeks across the board, but ultimately, still aren't able to get it done. Against Buffalo, against the Patriots, who have been sort of slow. The Jets, though, they've had Aaron Glenn come in. And I think we've all probably figured out for the last sort of few years that the defense has been the better side of the ball for them. So in the first 3 weeks, they've conceded 34 to Aaron Rodgers, 30 to the Bills, fair enough, and then obviously 29 to the Bucks, which most of that came in the first half. So yes, two good teams in there, two good offenses, fair enough. But defensively, they haven't been that same sort of team, which is quite alarming for Aaron Glenn being a defensive guy.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
why I think this comes in a bit more, not so much pressure. He's obviously not going to get fired, but a bit more, sort of a red flag sort of thing. That if the Dolphins come in and they hang 30 on the Jets, it's going to be like, well, we haven't sort of gotten that bump from Aaron Glenn coming in and being that tone setter like he was in Detroit.
Yep.
And now is our offense the better part of what we're doing? Like, it just puts the Jets in a weird spot, and you could almost argue they probably be worse than last year if they lose this game.
Yeah, definitely. I just think, 0-4 for the Jets, people just kind of like, okay, we're rebuilding. 0-4 for Miami, it's like, nah, the wheels have fallen off and all this and that. Jets got to get back to running the ball. That's just, you got Fields, just run.
Yeah, Fields is back this week too.
Yeah.
Jets also addressed a little bit of their disappointing secondary this week when they actually traded with the Titans in a sneaky trade that happened on Tuesday for cornerback Jarvis Brownlee Jr., who's been starting for the Titans, who was previously a full-time starter for the Titans. He hadn't been starting as much in the last couple of games. Jets acquired Brownlee in a 2026 7th for a 2026 6th round, essentially. So they did a pick swap and got Brownlee. And Brandon Stevens, who has been their starting quarterback, the opposite side of Sauce Gardner, the last couple of games has been pretty disappointing because he's been on the receiving end of the majority of sort of touchdown passes that have been thrown down that side of the field. So he's missed quite a lot. So if nothing else, Brownlee will give them a backup with a bit more starting experience, which might boost that Aaron Glenn defense a bit. But you're right, Nick. Robert Saleh had them cooking as a defense, and it's essentially the same defense. So it, step up, basically. All right, odd game anyway. The 2.5 line is very odd to me. Does anyone have any kind of bets or anything? I didn't really want to touch this game, and I probably won't until we hit maybe Tuesday morning to even have a look. I think me touching this game would depend on the success of the rest of my weekend.
Don't chase your losses.
And by that, I don't chase losses. If I lose a few too many of what I put down over the weekend, I won't bet at all. I'll just go screw it. But if I'm up, I'll take a little bit of that cheeky money and chuck a bit more on just to see if I can get further up or not. Because it's house money at that point. So did any of you guys have anything on this at all?
No, I was staying away from this game. Just partially because it doesn't intrigue me, and I don't trust their identities yet. I don't feel like necessarily either team has found its identity.
Yep. All right, the second of the Monday night football games being played this week is the Cincinnati Bengals at the Denver Broncos. The Bengals come off a very disappointing drubbing 48-10 by the Vikings, where Isaiah Rodgers basically looked like the best player in football. Give the guy the MVP right now. I think he beat them himself. The Vikings smashed home 48 points in 3 quarters to really rub some salt in the wound for the Bengals. And they're going up against the Broncos, who came up against arguably the best team in football right now, the Los Angeles Chargers. They did score 20 on the Chargers, but still came away with a loss, 23-20 loss against them, where the Chargers sort of rallied for some a late game touchdown to really put them ahead and secure that win. Nick, how are you looking at this game between the Bengals and the Broncos?
I think, I mean, we'll probably speak about like maybe picks later on if you guys have got anything for this game, but I think the line is pretty fair. I think a lot of people sort of looked at the Bengals now. It's like, oh, Jake Browning was able to get, the Bengals to, 500, a couple of years ago. I don't think that magic's going to happen again. And particularly not this week, coming up against a good defense in Denver, who, so if you guys that are missing, I know that Greenlaw's out again, unfortunately, and a few other guys for Denver, but I feel like more so last week they were unlucky to actually lose to the Chargers. The Chargers stormed home very well, but there was a few players. I think there was just watching towards the end of it, when we were playing the Cardinals as well, watching in the background, like they had a few penalties late, which sort of cost them. They were in third down situations and fourth downs, which sort of pushed them back, when they were in third and short situations late in that game, which sort of cost them with sort of converting and putting that game away. So I don't think the Broncos are too far off. They sort of look like they've started slow. Bo Nix hasn't looked quite the same. I think they're slowly putting it together now, the Broncos. So I wouldn't be surprised at all if this is a game where they come out and put their foot down and go, you know what, we're making that charge for that wild card spot now.
Yeah, I'm thinking along the same lines as you, Nick. With that, I think they're going to come out like the Bengals got 48 put on them against the Carson Wentz Vikings. Mainly that was all on defense, but you still can't give up that many points and expect to win. I think Jake Browning's going to get a rude shock, and it's going to be another beatdown, I believe.
Yeah, I agree with you guys. I would push back a little bit, Nick. I don't think they got unlucky in their loss. I think they blew it, to be honest with you. I think they had too many penalties, and that's what cost them the Indianapolis game, was the stupid penalties. And Bo Nix he's really regressed, as kind of got that sophomore slump, and they're not connecting on the deep passes at all. So they've only got 3 or 4 plays over 30 yards, and one of them's a run. So and they're just yeah. So I think that's what's hurting him. Peyton said that their film session that they had this last Monday was more valuable than the game, because it said, basically he just kind of ripped him a new one. So I think you're right. I think they're going to come back out on fire, but I think they'll beat them handedly. But Ian, you mind if I throw out my bet for this game?
Yeah, you can. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So I would actually take the under on this game, just because I don't think Cincy's going to do well, and I think they're going to try and play conservative ball control, chew up the clock, and I think Denver is going to want to have a good game for Bo Nix, and so they're going to do a lot of the play action. So you'll see a lot of time chewed up on the clock, and they'll just want to get him into a groove. And I think just have a simple game for him. So I'm taking the under.
Yeah, well, for the fellow fun police out there, the line is at 43.5 for that under. And the handicap line is Broncos are favoured by 7.5 at the moment. 43, and Brad's taking the under.
Yeah, I know. That shows you. I am the fun police on that.
I think that's brave, Brad. I think the under on that is brave. Yeah. I would actually take the over at 43 because I think the Broncos could achieve that by themselves. I think 7.5 is generous towards the Bengals, to be honest. I think it's only a matter of time before Bo Nix and the rest of the offense start clicking again like they did at the end of last season. And that saw them get sort of in that fringe playoff area. And I think that they will get back there. And it's only a matter of time this season for whatever juice that they're trying to install on offense and make things better just comes together. And it could be right here against a lowly Bengals team. You know, so.
Aussie.
It might be pretty obvious, but I am not Matty C.
NFL.
Absolutely stoked to have it on the podcast, mate. Welcome.
Fantasy.
Tay, I think it's time you just abused your mate here.
Would you rather be fighting zombies or aliens?
Find hidden gems.
And with that, we're into some breakouts.
I'm glad you're stalling because my results last week were a hot piece of ass.
We all had our struggles, mate.
You've unzipped the pennies and it's time to put the pennies in the pit. Let's do it.
I'm taking Trey McBride.
I'm just leaning on the old tuck shop, tuck draft.
And all of a sudden, he's just lighting them up.
Catch starts of the week.
I'm just going to go ahead and take Goff at Chicago.
So I'm going to go running back. I'm going to take Travis Etienne.
I'm going to go ahead and take your boy Ty Tracy.
I'm going to take Adam Thielen.
So I'm going to go and take Richo against Tennessee.
I'll take Matt Stafford.
Just a little float out the Dalton Kincaid.
I'm actually going to take Caleb against the Lions.
Friday and Sunday all season long. The Aussie NFL Fantasy Show.
Yeah, I know. It's amazing.
Thanks to the Aussie Gridiron Network.
Good to give me the dance floor. I'll probably fucking snap the floorboards.
And that's Monday Night Football. So let's move on to the games we want to watch. Now, we might kick off with Isaac's game. Isaac, what game did you want to watch this week?
Well, looking at the schedule at the start of the season, this wouldn't have been one I circled to watch. But after the Browns' performance last week against the Packers, I really want to watch the Browns versus the Lions. And the reason I want to watch it is it's an amazing defense versus an amazing offense, and see who wins. The Browns really shut down the Packers last week, so that's my game to watch, and that's purely the only reason I want to watch it is to see how the defense and offense play against each other.
Yeah, I think it's going to be an interesting game, but I feel like Goff plays really well when he gets pressured, and Cleveland does a good job of pressuring. Like that's their strength is that D line is really, really good. But Goff knows how to pick it apart. So I feel like everything is kind of coming up roses for Detroit in this game. So
Okay.
yeah, it'll be interesting, but the way they played, that Cleveland defense played so good last week. But as good as their defense looked, that's how bad their offense is. I mean,
Yeah.
that offense is just woeful. So they're going to need that defense to ball out, get a turnover, have Flacco get short field position. Then they've got a chance if they can do all that. But it's a lot of ifs.
The Lions, man, the Lions last week, they were absolutely on fire. Like they
Yeah,
Defensively, they weren't special, but offensively they are back to, what they were last year. And actually, a stat I came across is that this is actually the first game that they combined over 2 weeks scored 90 points. I think in the last sort of for the Lions, even before Barry Sanders days, it's more than say 30 years, I think. So not even in the Ben Johnson era did they do this, even last year or year before. So they're absolutely on fire early on in the season. I mean, it's a bit like last week. The only way that the Browns could maybe win this is low scoring. Are Detroit only going to score like 2 touchdowns? Probably not. What they're probably not going to do as well is not going to run the ball because Cleveland's, run defense is insane. It's the best in the league, I think, statistically. So it's going to force Goff to be able to get the ball out and get out quick because obviously they've got a great front four, Cleveland. So unfortunately, it's more so, is Cleveland going to be able to hang points on Detroit? I don't think so. So, the line at 9.5 is probably pretty good for Detroit, I reckon, at this point.
Yeah, I would say 9.5 to Detroit is very, very good at this point, and might be a little bit generous for the Browns, to be honest. Again, similar to the Bengals Broncos game we previewed earlier. Been loving the way the Lions, especially last week, played. There was a lot of trickery. There was a lot of fun. There was a lot of grittiness in that. And I think that 1-2 punch in the running backs, again, is going to be absolutely amazing to watch against this Browns defense, who have been simply amazing against the run so far this season as well. So, that they've been holding teams to very, very little scores so far this season, even though teams have definitely been trying to run against them.
It's weird because that defense that we're seeing the last 3 weeks is really what they had 2 years ago, where they were just really on this insane historic run for like the first 2 months of the season. And for some reason that didn't carry over last year, but it's that same defense that we saw 2 years ago, and I think same quarterback because Joe Flacco's there, just a couple of years older and not as good.
Yeah.
It's sort of weird. Like they've gone back to that defense that they were really good with. It's just a shame. Like if they could actually put points on the board, particularly in this division, like, say if Baltimore loses this week, they're 1-3, the Steelers aren't really anything, just maybe opens the door. But obviously if they can't put points on the board, then, their defense can only do so much, unfortunately.
Yeah, I don't know if you've seen during the week the social media thing. Nick, Brad wouldn't have seen it, but the one where Myles Garrett comes off and says he got the clean inside rush on the QB, and he heard the offensive lineman going, "Run, Jordan, run!"
Run, Jordan, run. That's a great video.
Yeah, it is very good. It's good to watch.
Good. I like that.
Yeah, I do too. So current line is Lions minus 9.5. Current over under total 44.5. Brad, I would take an under in that game. 44.5 in this game, I would take under. Because I don't think the Browns are going to score a lot. And I think that they might keep the Lions, they might not let them score as much as they did last week.
Mm-hmm.
How are you looking for some of your bets for this game?
I've got 2 of them that, you could say 3. I think I'm gonna take the Lions to cover, even at -9. I'm taking them to cover. I'm going with the under, but I'm taking Cleveland's under. So I think they're at 19 points or 19.5 points. So I'm taking their under. Yeah. Last time I checked,
that's free money.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Jesus.
So
have we not been told about this? We have.
Yeah.
Don't mind me. I'm just logging on to Sportsbet.
Yeah. Please do and confirm it for me. But last time I checked,
verify that. Yeah.
they're.
I'm having a look as well.
Okay, so yeah, their team total was
16.5 now, Brad.
Oh, it's dropped.
60.
Wow. So it opened at 19.5.
Wow.
Yeah. So geez, 3 points. That's a massive drop. 16 makes me go, I'd still be tempted to take the under, to be honest with you. And then I would take my other one is Goff on his completions. I would take the over on his the amount of completions. Browns lead the league in playing man coverage. They play it 49% of the time. Goff against man has like over 140 QBR rating. So he lights up man coverage. That defense, that Detroit offense lights up man coverage. And their offensive line is good enough. They're going to give him some time. I mean, he'll have some pressure, but he'll be able to handle it. So I'm taking the over on Goff's completions.
I like that. I like those a lot. It is a shame that line moved, Brad, because that would have been a stellar bet.
Yeah, no doubt.
Nick, have you got anything?
Yeah, I really like the actual game line itself, the 9.5. My thinking is, is the Cleveland going to score more than say 14 points or 2 full scores? Probably not. So, 9.5 is pretty good. But also, I've got actual David Montgomery just for an anytime touchdown at 182. So almost double your money. But yeah, I feel like this is probably a game where the Lions are going to get a lot of looks, get their work in probably early. And yeah, Monty had I think 2 the other night, 1 or 2. So yeah, he's scored. Yeah, there you go. So he scored in his last 2 games, so 182 to get that anytime touchdown.
The only other one I would have had, I think, would be Quinshon Judkins for an anytime touchdown. He's currently paying 280. That kid was lights out last week, and he looks like he's going to be their number one back from this point onwards. I can't see much else happening apart from that, other than if the Browns brown and they screw a rookie up, which they're known to do. All right, let's move on. Let's go to Brad. What game did you want to watch this week?
Wow, mate, I cannot wait to get me some Bears Raiders. So, actually, I think this is, most people probably gonna go, what, Bears Raiders? But I think this is going to be a really interesting matchup. So, you got Chicago coming in. They're a little bit of a dog in this. I think like 1.5 or a point dog. And both of them kind of
half a point. The Raiders are up by half a point.
Half a point. Okay, so it's a half a point. Yeah, damn half points. I hate them. It costs me so much money, but that's why they do. Bears are averaging 23 points, 25 points a game, so they're sitting around 9th in the league. But they're giving up 31 points a game, 28th in the league. Raiders are getting 17, 18 points a game, so they're at 26, and their defense is giving up 24 points a game, 21st. So you got these two mid-tier teams, but Isaac actually mentioned earlier, I think it was, about a potential shootout with the Miami game. This is the game you're going to get the shootout. I think you're going to get some great deep balls. And who doesn't love to go balls deep? It's just, I mean, you're going to have Caleb Williams he's hot. He looked, speaking of balls deep, he looked hot last week. So
Don't say that to him, Brad.
Yeah.
Brad definitely has a man crush.
Yeah, I do like some Caleb. But against that Dallas secondary, anybody's probably going to look hot. But it's just he actually has the most passing plays of over 30 yards in the NFL. He leads the league in over passing plays over 30 yards. So you're starting to see a rhythm with him and Ben Johnson. And I think if they can the key is keeping that pocket clean. If they keep that pocket clean, he plays at an elite level. He really does. It's when the pocket breaks down or when he gets the slightest amount of pressure and then he, moves and gets out and tries to play Superman. You can't do Superman in the NFL. So if he can continue to develop, stay in the pocket, then I think you're going to see some deep balls, especially because Las Vegas loves to play cover 3, and that's what they predominantly play is cover 3. And that's what Williams excels the most at, is against cover 3. So I think you're going to get just tons of deep balls. And then on the flip side, when Vegas has the ball, it's the same. Their strength goes up against Chicago's weakness. Chicago's weak in the secondary, and Geno loves to throw it deep as well. So I think you're going to see both of these quarterbacks just taking deep shots on this, and you could see some major things. Vegas has to take deep shots because their run game has looked awful. So, one pick I'm so glad I told everybody to go out and do was Genty breaking the single season rushing record. I'm so proud of that.
144 total yards right now for Ashton Genty.
So bad. But the problem is it's not him. It's their line. So they have, they're 31st in the league in rushing. Only 22% of their entire yards have come from rushing. Their average contact, Nick will appreciate this as an lineman, the running back's average yards before contact is 0.05. Not even half a yard. So they're basically getting hit at the line of scrimmage every time they get the ball. That's just insane. You cannot win in the NFL with that. So they got to get that figured out really quick. So I think no run game. They're going to be just chucking the balls deep, and I think it's going to be a really exciting game.
That's really bad.
Yeah, isn't it?
Insanely bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, their run game has been trash, to say the least, obviously. He's only averaging, I think at the moment, just over 3 yards a carry, if that. It hasn't looked good. I think offensively they also need to, obviously it's not just the running side, but the offensive line with even the passing game, because obviously Geno Smith has seen in Seattle can be quite solid, obviously, when he's got that time, as probably most quarterbacks are. But had that game against the Chargers where it was absolutely woeful. Last week I don't really take too much notice of, considering they're playing a bit of catch up. Washington, had won the game very early, so nothing to do with that. I think Chicago, one thing to be probably a little bit more optimistic about if you're a Chicago fan, is that they're finally getting the juices flying all together, which you were sort of alluding to there, Brad. The Cowboys obviously haven't been the same defensive team as, the last few years, but obviously it's something where, they've really tried to get it going against, Minnesota. They were good early. Detroit, they sort of got well early, and then for the rest of the game, they sort of labored through. This game was quite sustained, so it was quite good to see them put through a larger portion of the game with offensively. It wasn't just, okay, Caleb's got his script, and then that's it after that. Like, as you said, he's just trying to play Superman. So really optimistic from that end. Defensively, the Bears haven't been as good. Like, they're not pressuring the quarterback. So maybe this could be a game where there's some opportunities for Geno. I actually think, looking at this game, it's going to be a game where it's heavily going to be, on the passing side for both quarterbacks. As we said, the Raiders haven't been that good running the ball. I do know during the week, DeAndre Swift has been a bit banged up. I think he'll probably play, but has been questionable. So probably look for Caleb. One of the lines I did actually have in this game, I think Caleb's line was at 232.5 passing yards, which I would take the over with, because I think he's done it 2 out of the 3 games anyway. So definitely would be a game where there's going to be a lot of passing. If you're a fan of passing, this is probably the game to watch. Not as much running, because I think both teams will definitely be better in terms of their passing games.
Yeah, I'm just
Yeah.
having a little bit of a look. Yeah, sorry, Isaac, go.
No, I was just going to put more to the point of everything's gelling in Chicago. Roma Dunze has been really good for Caleb this year, which helps. I think a lot of the attention had been going to DJ Moore, but now they're going to have to start paying some attention to Roma Dunze out there because he's quickly becoming Caleb's favourite target this season.
Yeah, he is. And there was some question marks around him, but he's proven all those false this season. So, yeah, you got to hats off to him.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, I was having a look at a few lines here and there, but I can't really pick up too much in this that I really, truly like, that I would want to put money onto.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh,
There's a few here and there. I like the under, Brad, again, because
what?
The line's set at 47.5, and I just don't see him scoring, to be honest, Brad.
No, I'm completely on the other end of that one. But you go ahead. Sorry, I don't want to cut you off.
No, you're right. Yeah, absolutely, okay. Brad. You're fine. Yeah, no, I just don't see it, to be honest. Both teams have,
well, I mean, that's fair.
Struggled to score consistently. It's probably the biggest thing that I would say.
Yeah. Yes, I would completely agree with you there, but I think because it's going strength versus weakness for both teams, I'm leaning the over on this one. So this to me is probably going to be my most heavily bet game this week. So I'm taking the over. I'm taking Caleb Williams with over 2 touchdowns. I'm taking Geno Smith with over 250 yards passing. And a cheeky one that I like is if I can get both teams to have over 3 20-yard completions each. So that to me is I haven't put the odds on the parlay for the multi for all those, but I'm going to try and do that because I think it's going to be a fun, exciting game.
The one big one I think for me would be Trey Tucker anytime touchdown. Trey Tucker scored 3 against the Cowboys in the last start, and that dude, I think he'll end up sort of just pushing ahead as the top wide receiver in their top actual wide receiver in Vegas very shortly. But there's not a lot else there for me, to be honest.
Okay.
All right. I will go next, I guess, with the game that I want to watch, and it is Eagles at Bucks. So the Philadelphia Eagles obviously have come out with an absolutely hot start. They are winning games the way that they need to win games. They're not worried about blowing teams out. They're not worried about scoring like huge amounts of points or rushing for certain totals. They're winning how they need to win every single week so far, and they're open about it as well. A 1-point win is a 1-point win as long as they get over the line to them. The Eagles seem to be hyper-focused on getting back to actual playoff football and the Super Bowl and going back-to-back this year. So they are in lock across the entirety of that organization, it would seem at the moment. But they're coming up against Tampa Bay, who have been probably one of the most spectacular teams over the last 3 weeks, where they love to play one-score games. They love to take everything down to the absolute last possession. They, of course, I said earlier, they did. They sort of blew out the teams in the first couple of quarters of games in the last few, especially last week, where they got out to a massive lead. But I think if they can keep it tight against the Eagles, then I think that they can bring down to a game, and they may even be able to push it into overtime, or maybe even just get a win in regulation time if Baker can end up with the ball in his hands at the very end. But they have some major problems because offensively, their entire offensive line, all 5 guys, are all backups right now. Now, they were all backups last week, and if you go and have a look at some tape that's out there, these guys were creating, just stopping everything that was coming through to them and allowing Baker to have gaps to move through, time to pass. They were doing a sensational job for a bunch of guys who were backups, but they haven't been up against the caliber of defense that the Philadelphia Eagles present, and I think that's going to be a major matchup in this game. Isaac, I know we were talking about it earlier in the week, and sort of we alluded to the fact that this game was coming up in our reaction show earlier in the week. I think you agree with me there too, that that matchup between that offensive line and the fact that they haven't come up against the defense like the Eagles yet is probably going to be one of the big problems.
Yeah, I believe so. As you said, they've got all backups in, and Mike Evans is out as well. One of Baker's favourite targets. So Abuk has been playing really well, great receiver, but the two wide receivers that Baker's relied on the last couple of years in Godwin and Evans, I believe, are both out of this game. So that narrows his timing down as well. But
Chris
Baker's
Godwin should be back this week.
Okay.
He is in full training.
He practiced in full on Wednesday, so he should be back.
Okay. Well, that helps, but Baker's a dog. Like, he's just he will claw out a win any way he possibly can, and it's really great to see. But I think that they are going to run into a bit of a troubled week this week. I have Philly winning this one.
Yeah, I think it's going to come down to if Tampa can keep Philly in check on first and second down, then Hurts struggles against the blitz, and especially Bulls blitz. And so if they can keep him in any type of 3rd and 5 or longer, then I think Tampa's really got a shot at this game. And they need to continue to play mistake-free football, though. They still don't have a turnover there yet. And so they got to keep that. They're going to have to do lots of short passes, screens, that type of thing. And if Hurts can play like he did in the second half of last game, then I think he'll light it up and do great. And that's what Philly needs from him. So it's I'm hoping that it's going to be a close game. Tampa needs to do, field position, special teams is going to have to come up big for them. I still think the Eagles are the favorite, though.
Yeah, one thing I would say with the Eagles is that their protection and obviously Isaac, you would know this from last week, but protection of Jalen Hurts hasn't been quite as good as was been previous years. And I understand that the Rams' defensive front is obviously insane, but I think they had 4 or 5 sacks last week. So it's been a bit weird for the Eagles because last year we were so used to them sort of blowing away teams and just cruising, and Saquon Barkley really just dominating. He has pulled back a bit. He hasn't had quite that same production. I think it may be due to their O-line not producing as well as what they had previously. So like you said, Brad, feeding into Tampa Bay and how they draw up blitzes and how they can sort of get stuff in confusion with Philly is actually going to be key in this game. Philly actually, funnily enough, is a weird stat. They're actually 100% in the red zone. So every time they're in the red zone, they will score a touchdown this year. That is, they are obviously leading the league with that. But
that's awesome.
Top 5 in 2 key stats defensively. Top 5 in 3rd down conversion percentage for opponents defensively, and also in the red zone as well defensively. So what you are going to see is that a team that's really good, obviously in the red zone. Obviously, we know Philly being very good on those short yardage plays, which don't get called for false starts. And Tampa being very good at being able to stop those sort of players and getting themselves off the field. So it is going to be big, but I'm actually really surprised that in Tampa that they're a field goal underdogs. Like, I found a line that was +3.5 for Tampa. even if Philly do find a way to get this one done, I feel like a field goal is actually quite a bit here. Like I'd be hesitant at 2.5, but I don't know about you guys, but 3.5 for me seemed like that was one that just stood out. And I actually thought, well, is this game actually in Philly? Because I don't know, I feel like 3.5 the way that the Bucks have been sort of playing. Baldwin's full practice. Tristan Wirfs, there's rumors might be coming back. So I don't know, 3.5 as an underdog for the Bucks actually is a pretty good line for mine.
Yeah, I 100% agree. That's a good line. It's one of the bets that I was flagging as well. The other couple were Baker has always been amazing in this stadium in terms of passing yards. I hadn't mentioned it yet, but an app that I'd gotten onto during the week because I'd seen some ads out there for it, StatMate is amazing. It's a free app. It's sort of aligned with PointsBet. You can dial up, basically have a look at the NFL as a whole. You can dial down just to a game, which I've sort of done, which makes it a bit easier. They're showing me that Baker, 200-plus passing yards at Raymond James Stadium. He has achieved 4 out of the last 5 matches that he's played there. And you can go further back than that as well. So I really like that as a line at the moment too. And also his 2+ passing touchdowns. The guy threw against the Eagles a couple of years ago, threw 5 touchdowns in a game against the Eagles. So, there are a couple of hella good lines as well as that. I agree with you, Nick. That handicap to the Bucks, considering they have played 3 out of 3 one-score games so far this season, and most of them have been under that line. That's amazing to me. Brad, anything quick on this game?
Yeah, I would just say I would take the Fun Police is still out. I'm going to take the under. Surprise, surprise.
Brad, that's at 44.5. What is it with you and these low unders today?
Yeah, you're right. But I just feel like Philly starts the game off inefficient. Tampa punts like 45% of the time. Both defenses kind of do a bend, don't break type thing. So I just feel like they're going to keep them in front of them, and it's not going to be as high scoring. And then my other one is I would do a Hurts anytime touchdown.
Just one last thing on this game. I think the Philly offense changed last week at halftime. I think the first half they tried to ram it down the Rams' throats with Saquon, and once they realized AJ Brown was out there and started targeting him, that's when the game changed.
Yeah. Yep.
All right, Nick, bring us home with the big one for the week, objectively. I still think the Vikings game will be great. And so will
trust
the Bucks
me,
game.
it's big.
What is the game that you want to watch for this week?
I have got 2 teams that have struggled so far this season that haven't in the last 5 or 6, which is really weird to say that both these teams have really struggled to get off the ground. But it still creates a massive matchup even before taking into account what's happened this season and the added stakes to it. So obviously the first 3 weeks of results adds to the stakes of the matchup, as both teams cannot afford to go 1-3. Weirdly for the Ravens, they're so polarizing. Like they're averaging, I think, 36 or 37 points per game. But then on the flip side, defensively, they're giving up like 30 points a game. So it's pretty much a shootout every game. It's like, Bengals-esque of last season. Both teams have really struggled to get off the deck so far this season, like we mentioned. The Ravens, took care of the Browns. The Chiefs only really needed a good defensive second half to get past the Giants last week. Last season, as we know, it actually came down to literally a toenail of Isaiah Likely that prevented the Ravens from trying to win this game. 5 of the last 6 matchups have been one-score games between the 2 teams. So definitely look for any sort of betting markets with close lines as well. I think the biggest thing, though, obviously you've got, the Chiefs' defense has been good this year. Ravens' offense has been really good. So the flip side of both of those, so now the Chiefs' offense versus the Baltimore's defense is really going to make or break this game. So who's actually going to be better on that side of the ball? Because so far this year, the Ravens have been shocking in most areas defensively.
Yeah.
The Chiefs have not been great, but they've sort of been middle of the pack. Unfortunately for Baltimore, defensively, they were sort of bad last year with their pass defense. They did get better, but it's sort of carried over to this year in terms of early in the season where they haven't got off the ground. The Chiefs, I don't know, I feel offensively they did struggle a bit like this year, like they had last year. But in saying that, they've got guys coming back. I think Xavier Worthy might be coming back this week. Rashid Rice, probably not this week. I think he's coming back in a few weeks, so he's not far away. In this matchup, this is probably more of a question being thrown to you guys. Who in this match has the most to lose in this matchup? For me, I actually think it is the Chiefs, only purely because if you take the other teams in both, like in divisions for both teams, so like the AFC West, the three teams in the AFC West, three teams in the AFC North, I think the Chargers are probably the best team at the moment out of those 6 teams. And obviously, they've got the Giants this week. They could win, so 4-0. So if the Chiefs go 1-3, can they win that division? So for me, I'd probably say the Chiefs have the most to lose in this matchup. What about for you, Isaac?
I was just thinking the same thing. So if the Chiefs lose this game, they're going to struggle to come back in their division. And I think if Baltimore loses this game, there's still potential for them to win their division and make the playoffs.
Yep.
So I think it's a bigger matchup for the Chiefs. And I don't think they're going to get it done. Their offense hasn't been looking good at all. I mean, granted, Xavier Worthy comes back this week, which helps out. But yeah, but then Baltimore's defense has looked, like you said, Nick, really, really shit this year as well. So, but I really think it's going to be Baltimore's to lose just because of Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry. Like they've got the 2 best players in this game on. So, yeah, I think they're going to get over the line.
Yeah, I think it's going to come down to Lamar. If Lamar is Lamar, if he keeps running, because he's a running phenom against Kansas City, and if he can continue to do that, then they're gonna win this game. They'll cover the spread. So I personally, that's one of my bets, is I'm taking Lamar on his rushing total is the over. I think it's like 80 yards, 75 yards, but I'm still taking the over on it just because he's so good. Baltimore, though, they got to step up that defense because the key for Kansas City is going to be if they can get a couple deep shots. If they can hit 2 or 3 deep shots, then that's going to loosen up that secondary, and then it'll make more balanced. And Kansas City will be able to actually get a decent run game going, which they haven't really been able to do. And Kansas City's moving the ball, but they got to stop going for the field goals, and they got to go from field goals to touchdowns. And I know that sounds simplistic, but it's the truth. And they've got to execute in that red zone. They're scoring a lot. They're still scoring like almost 50% of their drives, but it's just a lot of field goals and not enough touchdowns. So, and Baltimore, I think, again, they're kicking too many field goals. But if they can stick with the run game, which I think they will, and Lamar is Lamar, he's just always, he's been a wizard against these guys with his legs. Then I'm giving the edge to Baltimore.
Who would have thought that we would come out of week 4 and one of the Ravens or the Chiefs would be 1-3 on the season?
Yeah, no doubt.
That's the reality of this game. Well, one of these teams is going to come out of this game at 1-3 on the season. It's unbelievable. In terms of just to simply answer the question that you asked, Nick, at the top, who has more to lose? I believe the Chiefs have more to lose than the Ravens do right now, because the Chiefs haven't looked great even in that one win. They need to really step it up here and show that they can still beat quality opposition. So I think that they had more to lose because I think a loss here, 1-3 for the Chiefs. I think that's you're almost getting to panic stations on the season.
Almost, yeah.
Almost getting there. So yeah. And I agree with you, Brad. They need to start scoring. They need to actually start scoring. Stop relying on field goals. Stop relying on your kicker. You need to show that you can actually score something apart from that. All right, bets on this game. Brad, have you got any?
Not a ton. My big one is just the anytime touchdowns. I'm taking Zay Flowers and Derrick Henry, both. Flowers is kind of Lamar's safety valve, and Derrick Henry's, I think he's just due, and he's going to be a little angry after these fumbles that he's having. So I think you're going to see him get in the end zone.
Any for Nick?
Definitely, I think in terms of how I think this game's going to go, where I think the Ravens are going to get the jump. One thing that I looked at and found on Sportsbet was actually Patrick Mahomes with his passing attempts. So it's sat at 35.5. He's cleared that 2 of the last 3 weeks. I think it's going to be a game, like I said, they have to score. They do have to score. You know, if they're going to win this game, realistically, they've got to score maybe even 4 touchdowns. So you're thinking at least in that sort of 27, 28 sort of ballpark range for the Chiefs. So they're going to have to put points on. Worthy potentially coming back as well, so adds another sort of string to the bow for themselves. So I reckon over 35.5, they'll be trying to air it out a lot more.
The one interesting stat that I have for this game is the Ravens are 20-4 coming off of a loss with Lamar, best in the NFL. So that's pretty insane that they've only lost 2 straight 4 times in all of their years with Lamar. So keep that in mind.
Yeah, one of the things when I was looking at picking this game was that I knew the Chiefs had more to lose, and I was sort of giving them a bit more of a bump because the game's at Arrowhead, but I still struggled to go. I don't think that the Ravens are going to lose 2 in a row. It's very difficult for me to go either way. The only betting line I would sort of want to take on this, apart from some of those really short-priced Ravens ones, would be actually Xavier Worthy, because he's back in this game, is anytime touchdown, because it's paying a lot. It's 270. So, and as we said, they've got to score, so I think it's going to be that way. All right, that's the games we want to watch for this week. 4 great games to put on your TV screens or your phones and keep track of and check out all those things. The last couple of weeks, I'd sort of forgot to go around and see if the boys had any other best bets from around the league that they wanted to just throw out real quick before we got out of here. This week, I am definitely going to remember. So, best bet-wise, before we take off, any other single lines that you sort of like and you've been having a look at from around the league, I'll chuck out 2 quick ones that I'd been looking at. Of course, everybody knows that I have a fascination with middling quarterbacks. So Daniel Jones looking like the greatest quarterback in football right now definitely has me rock hard. 6+
Indiana
rushing
Jones.
attempts. Yeah, 6+ rushing attempts for Indiana Jones against the Rams. I think they're going to be squeezing him out of the pocket, trying to stop the pass as much as possible. So he will be sprinting around, and 6+ rushing attempts is a great one. The other one is actually Sam Darnold, the other red-headed Vikings quarterback from the last couple of years. 225+ passing yards against the I lost it against the Cardinals. Sorry. I was looking at something else on my phone at the same time as I was talking. 225 plus passing yards against the Cardinals. I think the Seahawks are going to really smash the Cardinals this week on Thursday Night Football. So that I'd already put that one on and I'd flagged that. I just didn't get to bring it up when we did our TNF preview the other day. Brad, do you want to kick us off? And I'm going to bring you home with a multi at the end here for sure. So look out.
Yeah, cool. The one that I'm really intrigued on is the Bengals Broncos in terms of I would bet a decent amount is the over for Sutton on his receiving yards and the under on Jake Browning for his passing yards. So those are my two big ones that I'm looking at. So, and then of course I talked to you about the Bears Raiders, Caleb Williams over 2 touchdowns, Geno Smith over 250 yards. And I would probably say Rome Odunze for an anytime touchdown.
We might have to start Brad's Fun Police as a running thing. I think at this point it might have to be a thing. A bit of a gimmick or something that we just run with what are Brad's unders? What's Brad's under unders. Brad?
Would you like to see my undies? Unders.
Nick, that's going to be on the shirt now.
It might be. It just
let's
might
go
be.
Down to Browntown. Sorry.
Right now we're getting a bit. Nick, what have you got from everywhere else around the league this week?
So I really like this one of my 3 best picks. So the Tampa one I said before. So sticking with that plus 3.5. The other 2 I had, I'm with you, Ian. Seattle -1.5 at Arizona. I think it's a complete mismatch. Arizona definitely should have won last week. Seattle have been really good defensively the first 3 weeks, so I can see them running away. And I think Seattle have won their last 7 matchups against Arizona, 6 or 7. Yeah, I think Arizona have beaten Seattle in a few years at least. The other one, another team one. I'm not sure if I should be saying sorry, Brad, or not. I know it's your gap year, but I've got Green Bay -6.5 at Dallas. I was almost looking at Micah Parsons to record a sack. That's actually a betting market on Sportsbet. That's a 67% profit margin at $1.67. So if you want to bet big bucks like that, that's not advice, by the way.
Really hoping we could get through this podcast without talking about Cowboys and Packers. I really was.
Well, we're not. It's just a bet, Brad. It's just a betting line. We're not going to talk about it too much.
I won't say Dallas aside, but look, obviously from Green Bay's side, with that upset that happened last week, they won't be too thrilled, and obviously the meetings won't be too kind to them. So definitely this week offensively, I can see Green Bay starting to get the wheels in motion again. So that's sort of the other bets I had as well.
All right, wonderful. It is that time of the day. Last week's multi, 8-leg multi, went 4-4. We didn't do too well. There was a couple of teams that definitely let the side down. This week, however, I feel good. I've got a couple of kind of hedge your bets, some handicap bets in amongst some straight up match betting. I got the Vikings over the Steelers. I got the Chargers over the Giants. I got the Ravens over the Chiefs. I've got the Broncos over the Bengals. Not too much going on there so far. I got the Jets beating the Dolphins. Then we got the Browns to cover the 9.5. or not cover it, sorry. Browns plus 9.5.
Yeah.
So we can hedge our bets against the Lions there. I don't think it'll be that far out. I think it'll be a little bit closer than that. It'll be closer to a touchdown. That Tampa Bay plus 3.5, as we talked about earlier. I'm going that for sure. The other one I've got is the Titans at plus 7.5 against the Texans. The Texans have been woeful, and that plus 7.5 could just net us some gains. That's another 8-leg multi. $68.15 we come out at for an 8-legger there. The power play is in full effect on Sportsbet in our Bet with Mates group this week. 83.15 that goes out to.
Woohoo! Yeah, baby.
so we're
Lock it
going. We're not chasing losses. We don't do that here. But we're going another 8-legger, and hopefully we can get more than 4. Hopefully we can come home with 8 again. All right. That's been previews for week 4. Thank you very much for joining us for great games we want to watch. 2 Monday night football games that might be a bit so-so, but we hope you enjoy watching all 6 of those, plus the rest of the games on this week, the other 10 games that will be played during week 4. And we'll be back with a reaction show on Wednesday morning on the other side of Monday Night Football. So look out for that. And then, of course, week 5 previews next week, where we're going to have another amazing lineup of games to preview. So keep a watch out for all of that. You'll find everything, socials, all the links at linktree/Aussie Gridiron Network. Make sure you check that out. Check us out on YouTube. Here's just something to throw out to the listeners, and a bit of something we really want you to do. We are so close to 1,000 subs on YouTube. So if you could go there and make sure that you like and follow or subscribe on YouTube for us, that would be absolutely amazing. We really want to get over that 1,000 subs. So you'll find that link on the link tree, or just search for Aussie Gridiron Network or G'day Gridiron on YouTube, and you'll find it. So go check that out there. And then also please like the video, comment on the video, because that puts us in front of new eyeballs all the time. So please, if you could just do that, would be absolutely amazing. And let us know your thoughts on these episodes, because we'd love to know. Until next week, see you later.